Hello and welcome to Uncle Maths Online Academy. In this lesson, we want to look at how to do change of subjects. It is called change of subject or change of formula, and it involves making a certain number or a given number or a given letter in a formula to stand out from the rest. That is what we do in a change of subjects. You make a number or a letter in a formula to stand out from the rest. That is, you make the number you are looking for or the subject you are looking for to stand on one side of the equation, while every other numbers and letters stand on the other side of the equation. Now, how do we do that? You write down the formula given to you, then 2, you move all the numbers and letters in the formula to the other side of the equation, except the one you are looking for. Except the number or the letter you are looking for, you move every other one to the other side of the equation. Now, in doing that, you consider the following. If the number or the letter you are moving, if it has a positive sign, you change it to negative sign, and vice versa. That is, if it now has negative sign, you change it to positive sign. Number 2, if the number you are moving or the letter you are moving, if it has a division sign, you change it to multiplication sign. And if it is multiplication sign that it has, you change it to division sign. Then C, if the number or the letter you are moving has a power, you change the power to root when you move it to the other side. That is the corresponding root. If the power is 2, you change it to square root. If it is 3, you change it to cube root. If it is 4, you change it to the 4th root. If it is 5, you change it to the 5th root, and so on and so forth. Then if it is root that you are moving to another side, you change it to power. That means if it is square root, you change it to power 2. If it is cube root, you change it to power 3. If it is 4th root, you change it to power 4, and so on and so forth. So let's look at some examples. Now we have this formula and we are asked to make C the subject of the formula. How do we do that? Solution. To make C the subject of the formula, we move everything in this equation to the second side of the equation, leaving C alone. That is our work here. So we can also transform this equation to say that, let's move A, let's move this first one. This 5B, it is positive, it has positive sign, so we are moving minus 5B. 5B coming to this side, it becomes minus 5B. Any number that is standing alone without any sign, without positive or negative sign, it has positive sign. So if you write 5A alone, there is positive there. If you write C alone, there is a positive there. If you write 5, there is a positive there. If you write 2, there is a positive. So if you write a number or a letter without any sign, we assume that there is a positive sign to it. So this 5B here, there is no sign to it, so we assume that there is a positive sign attached to it. So if you are moving it to the other side, then it will become negative. That positive sign on it will become negative. So that is why I now have A minus 5B. Remember that our work is to make C to stand alone. Now this C and D are standing together and they are separated with multiplication sign. If you have if you have A and B written together, it is the same thing as A times B. If you have 2C written together, it is the same thing as 2 times C. So if you have two numbers written together, there's no sign between them, it is assumed that there is a multiplication sign between them. So since we have multiplication separating C and D, we change the multiplication to division if we are moving D to the other side. So it now becomes everything on this side now. This A minus 5B is equal to CD now. So it is only CD that is remaining on this side. Now we want to make C to stand alone. So we are now going to have that let's move this CD to this side. CD is equal to A minus 5B. It is just the same thing. So we now have that to make C stand alone, we now say that C is equal to everything on this side divided by D, because this has multiplication sign, so we are changing it to division sign. So it becomes A minus 5B divided by D. So this is the answer. C is equal to A minus 5B divided by D. So this is the answer. Now let's look at another example. Make S the subject of the formula here. Solution. Now here, the formula is V squared is equal to U squared plus 2AS. Now we are trying to make S stand alone. So let's start with U. Let's move U to the other side. So we have that V squared minus U squared is equal to 2AS. That is plus 2AS. So since this 2AS is standing alone, we can remove the plus sign and write it as 2AS. If you write it with plus or without plus, we already know that it has a plus sign. So it is equal to 2AS. Remember, our work here is to make S to stand alone. So we are going to move out everything that is attached to S. What is attached to S is 2AS. Since there is no sign separating the S and 2A, we assume that there is a multiplication sign between 2A and S. So we change the multiplication sign to division sign. So we now have that we can still transform this to, we now have that V squared minus U squared over 2A over 2A V squared minus U squared over 2A is equal to S. We can bring S to the other side. It's still the same thing like this. So we can still say that S is equal to U squared minus V squared minus U squared over 2A. Just to make S to stand on the left hand side. as a formality. So this is still the same thing as this. They are the same. If you leave it this way, you are okay. If you leave it this way, it is also okay. So this is the answer. S is equal to v square minus u square over 2a. Now let's look at another example. Make D the subject in the following formula. Square root of P is equal to 2D plus 2D minus T squared. We are trying to make D the subject of the formula. Now solution. We are going to start with the one that does not have D. So that is minus T squared. The T here has, let's first of all write the formula. Root P is equal to 5D minus T squared. Now we start with T squared. Now T squared has minus sign, so if I'm moving to the other side, it becomes positive sign. So you have that root P plus T squared is equal to 5D. Now between 5 and D there is nothing separating it, so we assume that there is a multiplication sign between them. So we change the multiplication sign to division. So it becomes that D is equal to root P plus T squared, everything divided by 5. Everything divided by 5. This is the answer. So we have made D the subject of the formula here. So this is how to do change of subjects or change of formula.